Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. It's being brought to you by Groupware Technology and Lenovo. Today, we'll be discussing transforming your data center with intelligent solutions. Our speakers for today are Jason Hester, Technical Account Manager at Groupware, and from Lenovo, we have Adrian Escobedo, Digital Transformation Evangelist, and John Enciso, Field CTO America's Data Center Group. With that, I'll hand it over to Jason to get started.
Thank you so much, David. My name is Jason Hester with Groupware. We are a leading IT solutions provider specializing in data center, cloud, data and AI, network and security, rack integration services, and first call support. We deliver these technology services to world-class companies to help them achieve their mission-critical objectives, lower the cost, and improve agility and increase their competitive advantages. So we're here today with our trusted partner, Lenovo, to talk about transforming your data center with intelligent solutions that drive innovation. I want to welcome Esco, Digital Transformation Evangelist for the Business Innovation and Transformation team at Lenovo. Glad to have you with us today, Esco.
Hey, Jason, thanks. Appreciate it and look forward to the opportunity to talking with everyone today. Groupware is a great partner of ours, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to share the stage with you today. Real quick, a little bit about Lenovo. Everyone knows us as rock solid hardware. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've walked around and said, "Oh yeah, I work for Lenovo. Oh, great notebooks, great hardware, great product." You know, that's something that everyone knows Lenovo for. Number one in customer satisfaction, reliability. I mean, bleeding fast hardware. That's why we're a great partner with SAP and putting the HANA platform on our box. One of the things that really kind of spurs this conversation is that we are number one in the HPC space. And what this means is of those top 500 computers or computer systems that do a lot of calculating that we measure teraflops on are run with Lenovo hardware. And it's a huge bragging right for our universities, but for research, that's actually what helps push a lot of the answers that we have today for health issues, for business issues, and other things. We're number one we're number five, in supply chain. Gartner's actually ranked us in the top 25. And the last I saw, we were actually number 5 in that stat. And this becomes really important when we start talking about delivering a product to a customer. The fact that we have our supply chain down so well, we're able to deliver in times of pandemic. So with COVID hitting here recently, we were able to deliver products swiftly to our customers. And that number 5 ranking by Gartner is not just an IT company ranking. It's actually of all the supply chains around the world. We're one of the leaders in that space. Now, our data center group is headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh, Morrisville, if you want to get technical. We got over 50,000 employees. And from a revenues perspective, we do over $50 billion a year. So worth getting excited about when we have a partnership with a company like Groupware to help us deliver great products to our customers. And I'm sure, as this goes on, we're going to see more and more success. Now, Lenovo's portfolio is quite vast. We start, especially on the data center side, we start with a basic building block, and we call that the Think System line. So this is going to be where you find your 1U, your 2U, your single socket, dual socket, and so on and so forth. This is actually where we start with the innovation and the engineering to get some of the speeds that I talked about on the HPC space. From there, you take that Lego building block, that foundational type product, and we have bleeding edge software partners like Microsoft, like Nutanix, like VMware, to help deliver what we call our Think Agile platform. And this is where we start talking about software-defined infrastructure. Whether you want composable cloud, whether you want software-defined, whether you want software-defined storage, software-defined compute, hyper-converged infrastructure, all of those things sit in the Think Agile platform. It's about 6 things that we actually do that are unique. We take that building block, we take that hardware that we've built, and we engineer it to the spec. We engineer it in partnership with the appropriate software provider for the solution that you're trying to get. And we take that all the way through to support. So we do a lot of great things with our building block product, and we partner ourselves or align ourselves with bleeding edge software providers. And the list of application partners that you see there at the bottom are other places where we've gotten together, we've engineered a solution, we put together reference architecture, so on and so forth. So whatever your business need is, whatever your business need is to deliver that IT platform, we've got a partnership guaranteed. And now that I think about it, Jason, there's a lot of stuff on here. How our customers buy their hardware, in cycles, but they're not up to date. They're not talking about it daily like we are. How does Groupware help its customers make the decision or navigate this map of hardware, software, partners, and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, you're really right. The product portfolio is pretty impressive. So, at Groupware, we can really help show the customers where their best investments for their technology dollars. We can help our customers simplify the IT landscape by understanding their needs and suggesting the best products and solutions all the way through implementation. So we can help, from integrating new compute and storage to better utilizing assets, try to empower innovation and improve their management tools. Our goal is really to help control cost and improve data management as data volumes and access needs continue to grow.
Costs are a huge thing. And when we talk to our customers, both Groupware and Lenovo, we want to sit down and understand your business. So it's not just about, PowerPoint slides with, this server and that server, what I call pictures of the kids. It's actually about understanding your business and using technology to pull the business forward and be flexible enough to pivot as the business needs to pivot. So to start that process, what we do is kind of break down the business or our understanding of the business into what we call the houses. So you're going to see out of house, back of house, and front of house. Now, these are interesting terms, but let me give you a little bit of context on how these kind of work. We'll take, for example, retail. So when we talk about out of house for retail, we talk about the distribution channel. We talk about the actual farmer that's bringing the product to a distribution center or manufacturing plant. The raw good is the out of house. The back of house is how we assemble all those pieces together to come out with the product that we're going to be selling our customer, or how we kind of bring that together so that way we can distribute that to our customer. And where the customer touches the product is actually going to be the front of house. Now, as you can see, there's kind of a loop here, and the front of house result is basically the customer. And we want a customer feedback loop to make sure that we're looking through our systems to make sure that we're buying the appropriate amount of product from our suppliers, so on and so forth. So this creates a cycle of data. This creates a cycle of how a business works. But John Inciso, Field CTO for Lenovo Data Center Group, talk to me about how our customers really tactically show our companies that they're making decisions to go with that company or for the product that they're buying.
Yeah, thanks, Esco. So if we look at this, if we break a business down, so each layer feeds into the one above it. So the out of house sends data and product through. The back of house is where that raw product gets transformed and value gets applied. And then we attach value and data and send that up. But what's interesting is it's really a bidirectional process. That data that goes from, let's say, your manufacturing plant or your development organization that then provides that product that the consumers will consume, there's a feedback loop. There's information that comes back. But more importantly, attached to that information is capital. Each one of these areas is where capital flows. Data flows bidirectionally, and capital, for example, a consumer buys my good and consumes that value. They supply capital back to my business. And I take that capital and I use that capital to buy from my suppliers. And that's the great thing if we think about this from a technology perspective. Each one of these areas, these interlinkages between the separate houses of the business, there's data, there's value, there's technology that has to go in to help power that value creation, that value accrual process. Now, I've worked with Groupware for a number of years, and one of the things I know is that they're a great technology partner to help a customer break their business down and figure out where they can bring product to help actually solve those business problems. So, for example, Jason, I seem to recall that one of your customers had a problem with, for example, delivering that front of house customer experience. Talk to me about how you actually came in and help them figure out, you know what, here's how we're gonna help you solve that problem.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a situation where, it was really in our wheelhouse for how Groupware can really help bring some value, where we're helping bring solutions to customers to help them manage some of the risk. In this case, it was a Lenovo R630 platform where we did some testing at our lab here in Campbell, California, and we were running NVMe and persistent memory. And we were able to get actually a very, very close performance to in-memory database at a much, much lower cost. So, that type of agility with partnering with Lenovo really helped our customer move that part of their business forward.
Well, so that's just one great example of being able to, help that customer with that front of house customer experience feedback loop. But I think I remember that you also worked with a large enterprise. And this is kind of, if we break the house down, part of their supply chain was getting technology into the data centers to actually do the processing. Tell me about a time that you folks worked with a large company to help them actually get that technology in the door so their developers could actually create that value.
Sure. Part of one of our core services is rack and roll. We understand supply chain very well. We understand customers' buying cycles and when they need to deploy, and a lot of challenges larger companies have is getting the infrastructure stood up. So in our integration facilities, we bring in all the hardware. We're doing rack stack, we're cabling, we're doing their OS, we're doing customer defined, their networking, their data center infrastructure, their model racks, PDUs, and so we can bring these in and deliver a turnkey solution into the customer to take that overhead off their plate.
Wow! So it sounds like you guys really truly do understand supply chain. You understand how important the technology is to their business, and going back to what you said in the previous conversation with Esco, right? You guys really understand how to simplify a complex landscape. One of the things that we talked about in this slide is that data is a bi-directional thing, and so data sounds really important. Esco, tell me a little bit about how important data is to the business.
So it's kind of interesting. We're in a huge shift right now, and I think everyone remembers. In mid 2000, we were shifting over to virtualization, and I guess recently, the shift over to the cloud. But now, because of the need to get so close to the data, we've actually needed to take a look at getting to the edge. We've had executives say, it's kind of edgy right now. We're in an edgy type situation. And let me break it down. And so what I want to do is I want to call your attention to the circle on the far right, core IT. And in most cases, a lot of people think data center, data center, data center. They think racks and racks of servers, so on and so forth. And what we were doing with that data center was we were running a business. We were housing our data, and we were making sure that we had access to all of the compute, the front end application type stuff that we needed to keep our business successful. But with the introduction of the Internet of Things, with the introduction of cell phones, with the introduction of massive amounts of data being computed through computer vision, digital sensors instead of analog sensors, we needed a way to bridge the data center to the edge to get closer to the Internet of Things and the data amounts that those are proliferating into our environment, hence the edge. Hence the reason to bring compute, heavy duty compute, closer to the Internet of Things, closer to those sensors, closer to our customer. And that's actually where we begin to compute the data. So the closer we can get to computing the data to the Internet of Things, the faster our business can pivot, the faster our business can make decisions that affect how they're going to make more money, bring more capital into the houses. So that way we can provide a better service, of course, profitability back to our customers. So, John, there's a lot of places where data can live in an environment. How do we make it more efficient, or how can we get it unstuck?
Yeah, great question, Esco. So if we think about data, people generally use data in this as this amorphous concept, but data actually has a number of different characteristics. And if we think about what data is actually used for, what we see is that, as Esco mentioned, core infrastructure data, that's where we want to keep our big data stuff. But the things that have what we call temporality, right? So the data is mission critical. You don't want 5 milliseconds latency while you're in your Tesla speeding down the highway. You want immediate response. And so if we think about data and the actions that people take on the data, what we're actually seeing is that as businesses try and improve that latency, they're moving the compute around the data instead of the data to the compute. And that's that temporality. And there's also the velocity. How much data is coming in? A lot of customers, what we're seeing is that they don't want to store a lot of data at the edge. They want to process it, and then they want to send the big stuff back. They want to be able to take advantage of all of those big data infrastructures they've stood up. Because at the end of the day, the way that people get that data into something they can take action on is by that visualization of data, right? It's the conversion of data into information that either another system or a human being can take advantage of, where you have this, hybrid assisted AI type model where people are actually starting to do inferencing at the edge, but they're also being able to start doing things with intelligent automation to take that data and transform it into usable models. And that's really become critically important, as we see, because as I've had conversations with customers, I've never had anybody tell me I don't have enough data. What I have people tell me is I don't know what to do with my data. I don't know how to convert it into information. And that's really been creating a massive impact. And that really leads to sort of the next thing. If we talk about what happened with COVID-19, a very simple thing happened. We said a pandemic came in. We don't want people to be infected. We need to implement social distancing. And what we actually found out is it had a cascade of impact across technology organizations. We went from all of a sudden people being in an office, co-located with platforms, co-located with the network that they're working on. All of a sudden, everybody had to go work from home. And all of a sudden, all those manufacturing plants, they said, wow, I have workers. I got to keep my workers safe. Otherwise, I have to shut down. So facilities closed. Massive supply chain disruptions. Everybody was trying to do just-in-time manufacturing and supply chain. And now all of a sudden, we have people going, just in case. I had all these people that I suddenly pushed into their home offices. Now I have to think about bringing them back. How is IT actually going to help bring people back? I have a lot of CIOs that I'm talking to. That's one of their big concerns. How do I fix my supply chain? And how do I get my people back? Well, if I bring my people back, how do I keep them safe? That's going to impact my commercial real estate. And if I have my supply chains being disrupted, how am I going to actually get product that last mile into a consumer's hand? So how am I going to plan my routes, right? Because I have to keep my drivers safe so that they don't become contagion points. And if I think about that logistics challenge of getting that last mile in cascades out to the physical retail interactions. For those brick and mortar stores that are open, they're really moving to things like contactless point of sale, full electronic end-to-end processing of financial transactions. But part of that is that last mile delivery. I've got to get that product on the shelf. So now businesses are starting to look at occupancy ratios. In the past, it was the fire marshal said you could get 125 people in here. Now what I want to know is not how many people in here. I want to know how many paying people I can get through the door. So every body that I can rotate through quickly, that's an operational body. So if I can remove operational overhead out of my business from the perspective of maybe I can better time my logistics delivery so I don't have somebody dropping something off and then bringing another body 30 minutes later to go put it on a shelf, but I can have them both arrive at the same time, quickly get done and be right back out. All that stuff is driving the customer analytics, but all that's generating brand new data sets. And so customers are now looking at it going, wow, I've got data all over the place. I need help with data management. And for those people that are doing the supply chain, they're looking at it going, wow, I need to figure out, can I actually trust my suppliers? Are they selling fake N95 masks on Amazon? Maybe I need to actually do something around track and trace to say, you know what, the product that you're buying from me is actually a product that I manufactured, and then I'm going to track it from its inception to its destruction. And that's really what we're seeing is businesses are starting to have these conversations, and IT is actually becoming the powerhouse of driving these businesses to actually transform. And one of the things we talk about, so how do we get business value in this renaissance, right? So businesses are reopening, manufacturers reopening. We have this new renaissance of business that's happened. What we've looked at is, customer engagement, customer expectation, and customer experience were radically reset. And so businesses are looking at how can I reframe those? How can I take advantage of some of the learning that I've had? Because I can't recreate the past. I have to go forward with the future. And so what we're seeing is customers have new expectations. They expect new experience. They have a different model of engagement. Well, how does a business respond to that? Well, some of them are having to go in and develop new application stacks to take advantage of that. They have to look at, if I can remove operational bodies that aren't driving that bottom line, maybe I need to look at automation. And maybe I need to look at business agility, right? Business agility is how can I pivot quickly to be where the customer is? And then all of those are driving analytics. How am I going to be able to analyze my data that the applications are creating? Because at the end of the day, those analytics that are being driven by the data, it's really about enabling people and process to roll product out the door faster. So, perfect example. So this, we talk a lot about business value. We've talked a lot about how there's a lot of business value in here. Jason, big things we're seeing is in retaining employees and rolling out products and reinvigorating the customer experience so that customers our customers can drive revenue. How is groupware helping customers in this new renaissance?
It really is just a new time around. So in problems, they're just having all kinds of problems. So a lot of times these, we're starting with a support conversation. We start at the back end of a process with multiple conversations to understand how we can either improve a process or a business outcome. We'll then work with, our engineers and Lenovo to build out a solution and a timeline to solve those problems. Sometimes our customers just require Lenovo's support and service capabilities. So it's really a perfect combination of technical knowledge, integration ability, and speed to deliver. So with our team, having long-standing relationships with our customers just really gives us years of experience and really works to everyone's advantage.
So what I like to say is that we help people get to market quicker, increase profitability, retain talent, and improve customer experience. We want IT to be the center of that. We want IT to be how we pull a business forward. We want the days of, wow, this marketing group had to use this application, so they shoved it down my throat and I've got to run it or deploy it for them. We want to turn that around, and we want IT to be the enabler for businesses. And we really think that the CIOs want to have this type of conversation. They want this type of conversation. It's already driving their KPIs. It's already driving their funding, so on and so forth. So, John, as we start talking to IT, how do we help embrace that type of pulling IT forward idea with the rest of the IT organization?
Wow, great question, Esco. There's no CIO or CTO that, from their expectation, operations, analytics, and engagement from their internal customers and to their external customers, it's really become the expectations. Those are really core business functions. And similar to flipping on a light switch, the business now looks at the CIO and says, that's my expectation. But, I've been having conversations with a lot of CIOs lately, and one of the things that I've become aware of is that, you know what, no CIO wants to be remembered as the guy that just kept the lights on. There's a lot of technology investments that they're doing, but at the end of the day, one of the terms I've heard is dead dollars. It doesn't actually drive innovation. It's required to keep the lights on, but it's not something the CIO wants to be remembered for, and it's not sexy to the business. One of the things I had a conversation with a CIO, and we talked about, where do you want to plant your flag, right? What is the legacy you want to build for your IT infrastructure? How do you want your team to be remembered? And one of the things he talked about was they want to actually figure out how to optimize operations and take advantage, extract value out of the data they have, iterating and enhancing, right? So taking products I already have and figuring out a new way to make money with them. They want, another thing that we're seeing is that a lot of CIOs are being looked at to say, hey, you know what? Help my employees become citizen innovators. Create a sense of digital fluency with folks, because what we're really seeing is that that's how businesses are driving innovation forward, is by engaging all of their employees. And when they do that, what we actually see is that as they start building that, IT in the CIO's organization starts to become more than just the purveyors and the providers of technology. They actually start to be the business transformation engine, right? They are looked at as the true innovation engine for the businesses. And they want to be able to take that IT, scale that execution, and help the company pivot and adapt to what their customers want. And really, when we've been talking to IT execs, what I've seen, and what sort of some of the things that we've really heard, some of the big driving things that are really on their top of mind are not things that you would actually think are CIO and CTO level conversations. But what we're seeing is a lot of them are concerned about supply chain. How do I get my product? I need to be able to help people get product in the door. Or how do I manage all my data? Right? I've got marketing has a data set, and sales has a data set, and operations has a data set. There's IT and OT. I've got all these things spread around. How do I manage that? How do I actually get value out of that? And then how do I help look at the business and say, hey, you know what? Maybe IT can help you automate. Maybe we can apply some AI to some of these repetitive tasks that you're doing, or application modernization. One of the things we're seeing is that a lot of customers have value locked up in their data, or they're using legacy application deployment methodologies that are actually causing them more overhead. And then as I mentioned, all of the CIOs and CTOs, top of mind for them is employee experience, right? Work from anywhere, return to the office. That's top of mind for them. Those are initiatives that they're still having to deal with. And at the end of the day, supplying those analytics back to the organization to actually drive. I see these as continual conversations. So Jason, I know Groupware as one of our trusted partners, right? You guys are actively engaging with customers on a day-to-day basis. Tell me, do these align? Are these kind of the outcomes that businesses are asking you to help deliver on?
Yeah, very much so. Especially supply chain. I mean, it's as you know, everything's very much been disrupted, and that disrupts a lot of their business. So, we can really help since we do really understand the supply chain, and we can understand the customer's timeline requirements, and we know how to stage and build and help them stay in front of those some of those challenges.
So Jason, it sounds like really the conversations that Groupware is having with customers is moving beyond just the IT landscape and really helping customers figure out how to apply technology to solve these business problems.
John, it really is it's a daily conversation. It's years of understanding our customers, and it's a pretty broad and diverse team, and there really is pretty complex environments, and there's I really like to think of Groupware as our customer's easy button. We really are their right hand, helping them to solve a lot of these problems, and lucky to have trusted partners like you guys and Lenovo to help us solve those problems at the same time.
So what I wanted to point out is just make sure that we're covering this. John, we see supply chain and everyone thinks back of house. We see customer experience and everyone thinks front of the house, and we see business process management and everyone thinks, okay, that's back of house. It makes perfect sense. But every one of these big seven, as we like to call them, actually fit in every one of the houses, in every one of our organizations, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's engineering, whether it's HR, whether it's legal. Every one of these tenants fits in those business units as well. And while we're helping get our customers to market quicker, it's not on the customer facing side. It could be on the back of the house facing side. While we're trying to retain talent, again, that's not just in IT. That could be all over the business that we're trying to retain talent. So just because we say supply chain, understand data is coming from somewhere, and it needs a home, and it needs to be managed, and every part of our business is doing that. It is the petroleum of the business. So as we're discussing with our customers, hey, I'm cloud first, there's options that come up there. Or I have the data center all over the place. Do I need to get closer to my customer? Do I need to have regional data centers? What does that necessarily look like? We've got solutions there. And of course, from an IoT perspective, oh my gosh, there's smart home, smart watch, smart phone. I'm not that smart, but we have solutions there to meet all those needs. And we have solutions there to help have those conversations with our customers, whether it's aligning with technologies that you've heard of, or whether it's aligning with partners that you may not have met yet to deliver the business goal that you want. John, I think you would agree, Lenovo has solutions all over the place that can help with each and every one of these.
Absolutely. As Jason pointed out, right, there's a vast landscape of products that Lenovo can bring and Groupware can deliver to help a customer actually meet their business journey, whether that's a notebook, a tablet, a smart edge device to help do analytics in supply chain and inventory, or an IoT platform to help make sure that your customers can get back to work, to rack and roll, bringing in hardware as a service, bringing in bare metal platforms for those customers that have the knowledge, to those that just want point and click, all the way up to our hyperscale providers. Regardless of where it is, Lenovo can actually meet those needs all across the customer landscape. And most importantly, Lenovo relies on our partners. Groupware is one of our trusted supply partners and delivery partners. They are able to help customers figure out their complex landscape. I mean, Jason, would you agree that really when we look at this, Groupware can actually help a customer figure out what they need to apply to make sure that their technology dollars are right on scale?
Right, very much. And Lenovo definitely has the technology, helping customers navigate that and help them to figure out where's their best places to spend their money on that technology, and really try to simplify it for them, to help them better utilize their data and help them better support some of their critical tiers of their business. So we can really, you said it right, Lenovo brings technology, and Groupware can really help deliver that.
I think we've talked about a lot of things. We talked about, business needs. We talked about pulling IT forward. I want to know how to engage with Groupware so that way I can take the next step. I can have a business level conversation. I can have my IT help pull my business forward. Jason, how do I do that?
You can really, today's media, you can reach us anywhere. Obviously, groupwaretech.com/datacenter. You can reach our marketing folks, marketing at groupwaretech.com. We have online chats. Hit us on social media where we are available to answer your call.
Well, gentlemen, I think we've covered a lot of territory in this conversation, and I really appreciate Groupware inviting us to participate in this. Would like to just again thank Groupware, and then encourage all of our our listeners to reach out, right? Reach out, let Groupware help you drive that innovation into the business to help pull the business forward. And thank you, everybody.
And thank you, Jason, Adrian, and John for the presentation. And we thank all of you for attending. Have a great day.